might not have any regrets, but surely he has a few regrets. The Sussexes are a leaky bunch, and they've been sprinkling the media with very specific messaging this year. Conspicuously, you'll notice, because beginning in January, we had word that the royal family was in for a challenging year, with not one, not two, but 3 cancer announcements. So all year, ever since then, we've heard whispers from the Sussexes that they are trying to take a softer tone. However, it was not a full stop, flip the switch, we're going to do things differently and have this big change to the dynamic and just lay down the swords and really come and be supportive family members. No, they've taken baby steps, doing only as much as they have to in order to be seen by the public as not exacerbating the royal family's challenging year. You can only expect so much from a man baby. Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Please do consider subscribing if you have not yet already. Click the thumbs up if you'd like to, and leave a comment for the algorithm if you want. If you don't know what to comment, just leave a yellow heart. So when the announcements first came, the Sussexes put out a really lame, we wish them healing and privacy sort of a statement, which read like it was said through gritted teeth. It really did. It was quite stiff and cold and devoid of any sort of humanity for the situation. Fitting for the Meg, I suppose. Then there were sources close to the couple claiming that they were ready to forgive. There was even one moment where we heard that the Meg would accept an apology. How kind of her. Can you even believe it? The audacity. So rich, in fact, that the public, and the royals no doubt, didn't buy it, not even a little bit. So the Meg and Harold, just like most things, realized they needed to do better. So they took it a little further. Their leak involved wanting to put everything behind them. That's nice, I guess, for them. But that really does just leave everyone they hurt hanging out to dry, with no closure or resolution, to just be like, well, let's just move on now. A hallmark of those most toxic of family members. But finally, they flopped about in frustration and started a wave of leaks that Harry misses his family dearly and wants to heal the rift. That Meghan wants him to heal the rift. Wants him to be part of his family's lives. This came following and alongside a consistent drip that Meghan wished Harry would quit the lawsuits and be happier, basically. You see, reconciliation with the royals and healing that rift is all Meghan's idea. At least that's what the Sussexes wanted the media and the people to believe. It was all part of a larger PR strategy to soften their image. In the literal sense, make them appear less ruthless, mean, and calculating. It's really difficult to continue to vilify a family that is going through really challenging health struggles, especially when the public already didn't believe the Sussexes' account of things. Ultimately, after much deliberation, the Sussexes let it be known that they had regrets about how Megxit all went down. That the Meg had regrets about the Oprah interview. She wanted the main takeaway from that to be about her mental health. You go watch this series and tell me what you think the main takeaway from that interview was. Because it certainly just seemed like a complain fest about the royal family and the UK, including the media, but kind of in general. That interview got way out of control and became a reckless smear campaign. The Sussexes have been consistently placing this narrative that they have regrets about how everything went down with the royals, and how they left, and how everything since then has been received by the public, or rejected by the public. Well, on one hand, you could view Meg's abrupt shift to a slightly less publicized existence as evidence that there is a degree of regret, but that also could just be PR advice, especially if her Netflix show is ever to air. You don't want any negative press gaining any sort of momentum right before a release. Let's be realistic here. The Meg doesn't tend to get good press at all. So keeping out of view of the camera as much as possible is her best bet to try to keep the media slate somewhat clean before any sort of a launch. Similarly, one could view Harry's recent solo outings as evidence that he does have second thoughts on everything that has happened and how it has all gone down. That it's finally dawned on him that the over-the-top, clingy, controlling, perhaps disorienting presence of his wife has negatively impacted his public image to a degree he never could have imagined. But again, this also could just be part of his PR strategy, a professional division to clearly define each of their brands and allow him to go back to his sort of image that he had before while Meghan does whatever she wants, because this hybrid thing they've been trying isn't working. But that's part of the challenge of their situation, we'll call it, because it's difficult to call what they do a job in some ways, because the question is, what do they actually do? But if we do use the term job, the public thus far has no idea what Harry and Meghan really do, what their job actually is. But from a PR perspective, it's imperative that the public do have a clear, concise idea of what they do. And that's been a really big problem the last few years with them. They look all over the map. They look chaotic. They're dipping in and out of seemingly meaningless, unrelated events, and always doing so in a very over-dramatic, out-of-touch manner, coming off really bad to the public as very self-important, over-the-top, egotistical, toxic, hypocritical even. So dividing their public image has allowed Harry, for example, to define his sort of job for the public a little bit better, I guess. But it's still challenging to put into words what he actually is in terms of like job or career path. Because it cannot be just the same as it was with the royals, that his job was really to support noble good causes, to raise awareness about certain humanitarian and cultural things. He can't really claim that as a job now because he's not part of the royal family. He no longer has a seat at the diplomacy table. He no longer has space in terms of charities to really champion them and elevate them and do things for them. Because now he has his own foundation that's not really doing all that much in terms of charity work. But anyway, regardless of all of that and any sorts of changes or attempts at signaling that they're in a less combative season, not attacking the royal family anymore, it's very difficult to believe that they have any real regrets. Sure, they regret how things were received or how they've been reported on, but it's easy to imagine that their thought process is much more like, we should have done X, Y, or Z before Spare or Netflix, and then we wouldn't have had such a big backlash, rather than regrets for what they actually did and said, which would sound a lot more like, we regret attacking our family, or we regret lying on Oprah, or we regret and are sorry for all the pain and hurt that we caused our family and the stress that we caused them. Two very different things. One is regrets for the experience that they themselves have had through the consequences of their actions, while the other is actual regrets for hurting someone else. Compassion, you know. If you don't have privacy amongst your family, then you feel like you cannot trust anyone, ever, with anything. Meanwhile, for mental health, it's invaluable to have a trusting relationship with your family, and others, of course, like friends and guidance figures. But you're often encouraged to be open and honest and talk to your family, to build strong familial connections, to lean on your family when you need support or you are having a stressful time or when your mental health is suffering, that your family should be those go-to people for you. Well, the Sussexes robbed Catherine and William and King Charles of that. They took that away and then rather traumatically violated that privacy on the world stage, complete with dozens of lies. In the absence of any acknowledgement to this, no apologies, no admissions of mistakes, no errors of judgment on that basis alone of what they did to their families, that gross violation of their privacy to the detriment of their well-being just for the Sussexes to have faux juicy stories to tell and sell, well, it's clear to all of us that they don't regret a thing. And it's difficult to imagine them ever actually admitting to those mistakes or apologizing for anything. In all these years, across dozens of opportunities, not once have we heard Meghan or Harry say that they've made a single mistake about anything. Not once have the words, I made a mistake with this, or I could have done better, or I wish I had learned this or that and done things differently. Like nothing of the sort has ever come out of their lips. Either of them. The best of people still make mistakes. And it's a sign of a good person and good character when you're okay with admitting a mistake. The fact that we've watched Harry and Meghan talk about other people's mistakes so often, with a complete and utter absence of admission of any of their mistakes sets a really poor example and highlights their toxicity more than almost anything else they've ever done. How is it even possible to talk that much and never say that you've ever made a mistake in any arena at all? So as Harry continues to try to schmooze the public to get people excited about Invictus, and Meghan continues to try to, I don't know, preserve what's left of her image so that she can try to launch this show, an American Review or Orchard Montecito or whatever it's going to be called. All their efforts of trying to soften their image is still not working because they're missing that big piece that their regrets should be of their actions. But let me know what you think. Do Harry and Meghan regret anything? Is Harry experiencing regrets? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.